Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Garage Sunday. Another edition of Alive with Andy the Gabby Cabby. I hope everyone's all right. And it's good to see many of you in the house, in the garage already. 43 so far, 45 seconds in. That's really good. So can I ask if everyone can hit the thumbs up before they do anything else? It really helps. Now, my God, it just jumped to 100. That's great. Good to see everybody. Now, we've got a few things I want to talk about this evening, and I've been reliably informed that something else might be brewing in the background, so we're just keeping an eye on that as we go, and we can chop and change if we have to. Now, who's in the house? We have Minge Pump. I forever love your screen name, Minge Pump. Gary Thornbury, having a good old chat there. Stuart, good to see you. Yeah, talking about forgetting it was Sunday. I'm losing complete and utter track of the weeks and days at the moment for various reasons. I tell you, it gets difficult to keep up sometimes. Chris Card, good to see you. Jean-Marc from France. Hello to you. Sabah. I can remember a little bit of my French from school. Hi, Johnny. Good to see you, and thank you for your emails earlier. Butts Unplugged. That's another screen name I like. Funny. Moorhen. Good to see you. Factual Breakdown. Good to see you as well. Margaret. Good to see you. Margaret Yates. This is another screen name I like. WTF. Evening, Andy. Hi, everyone. You do have some imagination. And when I first started YouTube, I just called myself Andy Gifford Online. That was me, and I was online. So kind of changed that fairly early on. Anne-Marie. Good to see you. Ever dreaming Tim. Collie Dog. Terry Moore, running down the list here. Richie Reports, good to see you. I know Richie missed out on a couple of pop-up live streams the other day, but I hope he caught up with them. Tanner Family Memories, good to see you as well. Matt Wooten, I think that's everybody. John Clark, Screwed Slime, good to see you. Converse, Skin Master, Nigel the Handyman, Phil, Classic Sports Cars, good to see you. That's just about a Crazy Penguin. Evening, good to see you as well. Loads of people. Oh my God, it's getting bigger. Paul Taylor, Rapid, Tony Brooks, Cole Barker, Skimboss, Spiderlog. Yes, I think that is enough shout outs. I like to kind of shout everybody's name out because if you've taken the trouble to come here, I'll take the trouble to say hello. It's simple manners at the end of the day, and I really appreciate you coming along. Now, what have we been up to? Had a great live stream last weekend with Paul Thorpe. I wasn't actually here on my Sunday, as I usually am at 9 o'clock. I was over at Paul Thorpe's channel. I was on there with 3 other people, Paul included. That was really great. So go and have a check of that at some point if you haven't done so already. We've covered a lot of ground, talked about a lot of topics, and hopefully we'll do something again in the future. I actually want to think about getting down to Brighton at some point and go and see Paul and doing a face-to-face at some stage. That would be great, or even uptown, as they say. We'll see what happens in the very near future, so that would be good. I've been having a little bit of a play with the live streams on YouTube, StreamYard, seeing what little things it can do with colors and backgrounds and other functionality, and we see how we can expand this. I want to do more with the Sunday live streams. People say to me before, do a phone in, Andy. I don't want to do a phone in. I have no intention of doing a phone in. But I want to see if there's any ways of encouraging a little bit of audience participation here and there in a manageable sense. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. It'd be great. And of course, if you have stories to tell or you want to get involved and you want to come on and chew the cud with me, let me know. And we can do that too. It's always good to do collaborations with other YouTubers. And we've got some good support during the week as well with a couple of videos. It's getting a bit, political kind of thing because there's a lot going on in this country at the moment, which we're quite concerned about on a regular basis. And we need to talk about it. That's what I'm here to do. And you've got people who kind of just segued into that area, really. Segued into that area. And, you know, we're all in this together. We've all got to talk about it, and we need a place to come. Now, before I go on to the first topic I want to discuss, I just want to give a shout out to one of my friends, because I watched a video of his earlier, and I want to try and help him out if I can. Now, if I bring this up on the screen, there we go. I don't know if anyone is into true crime from a police perspective. That's a lousy impersonation, I know. But this is Police Off the Cuff. They've got to 76,000 subscribers. And I know he's desperate to try and get up to somewhere near 100,000 by the end of the year if he can. Police Off the Cuff is run by Bill Cannon, my buddy. He is a retired NYPD detective sergeant, did years in homicide and robbery and all sorts of stuff, so really knows what he's talking about. And if you're into true crime and all that sort of thing, please go ahead and check him out and subscribe to him. He's a cool bloke, and it will really help him out. So I appreciate it very much. Right, on to discussions. Now, I want to show you something. This. Now, I pulled this picture out a few weeks back. Now, this is quite handy because it gives an overview of the size of these damn dinghies coming across the channel. There must be 60 people in there. Easy. Just a rough count up. You could get trampled, you could get squashed, you could get all sorts. Now, as we know, the other day, there was another incident where, let's not beat around the bush, people died, including, they say, a child who got trampled on. And again, look at the size of the damn thing. You could fit many people in there. Now, we had a record day in the not too distant past with regard to these crossings. Well, guess what happened just yesterday? Have a look at this news here, which I'm about to bring up. And this is getting crazy. You can see the headline right there. Record number of migrants crossed the English Channel in a single day, more than 970. You may as well call it 1,000. Round it up. In 17 boats, 17 small boats. So how many is it? How many is it going to take? Yeah, there you go. Prior to yesterday, the highest single day for crossings this year was June the 18th, where we had 882 people arrived in 15 small boats. Now, I bet you anything that, I mean, I said there was probably 60 in that picture there, and I reckon they ran these to capacity. I really do think they do, over and above. And then look at the mishaps. Now, we'll come back to that in a minute. Now, yeah, 973 in small boats, the record surge in Channel migrants crossing, and that happened yesterday. There you go, another picture there. Prior to yesterday, the highest number was June the 18th, as we discussed, and they're all being bought off at Dover. Until yesterday, the highest day in 3 months since Labour become to power was August the 11th with 703. These are really awful statistics here. Now, if you look, it takes the total number of migrants reaching the UK waters so far this year to 26,612 in more than 500 dinghies. Get those figures. 500 dinghies, 26,000 people. How in the name of hell is this sustainable, folks? And I understand that they're bought from there, they moved to a processing centre, mainly at Manston, just up the road from me, dealt with and shipped off somewhere else. It is crazy, 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 with a capital crazy. And one of the customers that I took home yesterday from the airport was actually a police officer, and he works down at the port. And he said the crazy thing is, some of them are actually trying to smuggle themselves back out of the country as well, because when they got here, it's not what they thought it would be. So then they try and have it on their toes and get back out again. That is unfreaking believable. Now, how do you stop this? I've said it again and again, right? We have this issue, where the Labour Party are going to say, we'll smash the gangs, we'll go after the gangs, we're going to blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. You're not going to stop the gangs, not all the while the sun shines. And the old cloud thing is doing something about that. It's all about the business model. The business model. You stop that business model, this all ends. You've got Keir Starmer over in Europe kissing EU arse as we speak. Okay, maybe there might be some effect because of that, taking more in by legal means, but take it as an airport thing, right? If I'm paid an amount of money to take someone to the airport and I don't get them to the airport, I don't expect to be paid. If I get them to the airport, pay me. It's really very simple. I provide a dinghy off the coast of France to ship these people across the channel into Old Blighty, and I manage it. Very simple, really. Pay me. If you don't arrive or something stops you from arriving, I don't get paid. End of business. End of business model. WTF, I love those emojis. I'm sorry, I'm stealing them. Yeah, I mean, these figures as well, right? What's this? 973 divided by 17, 57, give or take. I said 60, didn't I? I said 60. Now, these figures that we're getting, 26,000 people, that is just the numbers that we know about. Just the numbers that we know about. So what's the truth of the matter? And it's right under our noses. I was in Dover yesterday because the people I dropped live fairly close. And if you have a look down there, Andy Simo Simpson, a.k.a. Eccentric Simo. Hey, up from Yorkshire, mate. Good to see you. Yeah, when you go down to Dover and you have a look at the port, they've moved it all. They've moved it over to an area where it's all secluded and you can't see. And you have all these people before that were filming down there. And they were getting a little bit troubled that all of this stuff was getting documented. So they close it all down so people can't see it. Yet it's still there. It still goes on. The coaches line up. And I've even seen information coming through about Manston and some stuff going on in and around the roads there. And I want to go and look into that a little bit more carefully. Carefully being the operative word. But that's enough about that. Please leave your comments on that. Blood Nose will star them as he has been. We'll come back to them in a little while. Now, I want a show of hands for the next thing. Who remembers the Falklands War in the early 80s? Give me a 1 if you're old enough to remember it. And I can pretty much guarantee 80 or 90% of you are. This is the Falklands War. There you go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yep, that's pretty much all of it. Now, when the Falklands was on, I was 5, 6 years old, something like that. I was born in the 70s, 1982. And back in the early 80s, we all know, those of us that are old enough, we know that the amount of news that we got at that particular amount of time wasn't 24/7. It wasn't readily available like it is now with the internet, the way it is. And in some ways, it was sketchy. It was a little bit sketchy. But I remember on our television, with just 4 channels, which you changed with a dial on the wall, little pieces of information coming through about what was going on. And it's one of those things that stuck up there. It really did stay with me. And this is a very famous picture right here of our troops in the Falklands. And you can see it. And, you know, in the aftermath, we've had a fairly steady military presence there ever since, including an RAF base. I have friends who have served in the Air Force who've ended up at some point or another being stationed in the Falklands. Now, the reason that I say about the Falklands is this business to do with the Chagos Islands, handing them back to Mauritius. And, you know, you have to wonder what's going through Starmer's mind. What's going to happen next? What are they planning now? Now, I've been reminded to look into the history of the Chagos Islands before I start jumping down everybody's throats and our involvement in them. And if you look at the history of it, we, the British, actually expelled the occupants of the Chagos Islands on behalf of the Americans so they could have a base there. That's the history of it. So, yes, I did look into it. All the while taking people from their home, and, you know, there's history of slavery and everything else involved is really awful. You've got the chat room's like a casting couch for the film Cocoon. Great movie. I preferred the first one over the second one, but they were both good. Yeah, they even though they were, you know, removed, the question is, this is our territory, our sovereign territory, and should we really be giving it over to somebody who's quite closely allied with somebody we're kind of shaking a finger at right now and saying, hang on a minute, and I'm choosing my words carefully. And Nigel Farage has turned around, and he's probably not the only one, and said, you can't just decide this. You can't just decide this. There has to be a debate. Where's the debate? Where's the talk? It just wasn't there. Not there at all. Now, I want to play you a clip of Keir Starmer where he was asked a question by GB News, and we'll analyse this and discuss it. Here it is.
And also just on the Chagos Islands, Argentina now saying they want the Falklands back. Can you guarantee that under Labour no other overseas territories of Britain will be signed away?
Chagos Islands. Look, the single most important thing was ensuring that we had a secure base, the joint US, in particular UK base. Hugely important to the US, hugely important to us. We've now secured that, and that is why you saw such warm words from the US yesterday.
Okay. Now, the whole thing was, or one of the things was, that the Chagos Islands were given to Mauritius in return for guarantees of a 99-year lease on that base over there, so we could keep, you know, our presence, our military presence in that area. But the one thing I want to point out in that video, and I'm no body language expert, but this is very obvious. As soon as the words Chagos Islands were mentioned, he went, look down. Thought, oh my God, they're going to ask that question. Watch your clip again.
And also just on the Chagos Islands, Argentina now saying they want the Falklands back. Can you guarantee that under Labour no other overseas territories of Britain will be signed away?
Chagos Islands. Look, the single most important thing was ensuring that we had a secure base, the joint US, in particular UK base. Hugely important to the US, hugely important to us. We've now secured that, and that is why you saw such warm words from the US yesterday.
Did you see that? It's like the guilty schoolboy being caught out in class. He did not want to acknowledge, he did not want to say anything about it. Boom. And then in typical political style, completely evaded the question anyway. So it gives you pause. It makes you think, really? Okay. I mean, there's the Chagos Islands, which we know about, the Falkland Islands, Gibraltar. Someone even mentioned Ulster. And, you know, you could probably go on a little bit and you think, God, what are they going to do next? This is a complete and utter disaster in the making. Now, we got some wonderful comments coming through, which I'll come to in a minute. I want to show you the next thing I had in line as well. Hi, Mum. just seen you in the chat, Gene Whitehead, Avon representative. It's very important that these, the Isle of Wight, absolutely. It's very important that these things are brought out and discussed. People deserve an opinion. People deserve to air their grievance, their point of view. This is why we do this thing here and now, and I appreciate you coming along. Anyone that's just joined me this evening, thank you very much for coming in for a live with Andy the Gabby Cabby, usual one on a Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Through to about 10. Wonderful to see you all. We're 370, nearly 370. If you haven't done so already, please give it the thumbs up, because that does help the algorithm. And it does help it spread my YouTube channel here, there, and everywhere. And we're getting more popular and popular and popular. I think we're nearly 105,000 subscribers now, actually. I'm really pleased with that. And it's all down to, well, no small part of me, obviously, but also your support as well. And that's great. And just do everything you can to share things around your friends and everything else. It's great stuff. Now, going back to this bunch, they really are a piece of work, all of them. There is complete and utter chaos. If you have a look before the election, the previous government, the media and everything else, they were out for blood. They wanted them gone. Now this bunch of clowns are coming and making everybody's life a misery. The media's after them too. So every little thing they can do to pounce on it, they're doing it. But all of this is going on behind closed doors. There's infighting, there's bitching, there's whining, there's all sorts of stuff. I belong to a couple of groups which I get access to on my phone, where there are a couple of people of note, I might say, who come out and say some stuff, and I look and I think, oh my God, a lot of it can't be said in public until a particular time, but Jesus, it really is bad. Before I show you the next article, Stuart, what does Gabby mean? Well, I sit here and I talk a lot about various things, and Gabby, if you look up the definition, it's another word for chatty. So Andy the Gabby Cabby, that's kind of how it came about. When are you going to start the Cabby party? I'll have to get the invites out, won't I? Absolutely. Well, one gift of the gab, that's it. Well, one name that's come up in the news, come up in the press, is Sue Gray. And we all know who that was. Well, she's gone from her position as chief of staff, but she's actually gone to a new job, still in government, but another job entirely. So it's almost like she's been moved sideways, really. And I wonder if certain people know where all the bodies are buried in the Labour Party, so to speak. Not literally, you know what I mean? Well, let's have a look at this, shall we? Share screen. Here we go. Couple of bits of information here. So Robert Jenrick, who was running to be the next leader of the Tories, said Miss Gray's departure is the result of vicious Labour infighting. Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? Fewer than 100 days in, Labour government is in complete disarray. Starmer is without a national security advisor, private secretary, and the most senior civil servant has sped up his exit. Now his hand-picked chief of staff have been forced out by vicious Labour infighting. The government's in freefall. I don't think Starmer himself has a very long shelf life, but we will see. Last month, it was leaked to the BBC that Miss Gray was earning more than the Prime Minister amid a series of briefings against her as Chief of Staff. The broadcaster was told that Miss Gray was earning $170,000, which would put her $3,000 more than Sir Keir. Not exactly free gear there, is it? It comes less than 100 days since Sir Keir walked into Downing Street as Prime Minister. Miss Gray said, after leading the Labour Party's preparation for government and kick-starting work on our programme for change for the worse, I'm looking forward to drawing on my experience to support the Prime Minister and the Cabinet to help deliver the government's objectives across the nation's and regions of the UK. Now, that's something about her new job there. I think she's going to be working a bit with the devolved administrations. Everyone seems to be resigning. Absolutely. Is that jump before you're pushed, maybe? I do not know, but there we go. Yeah, working with the devolved administration. So we'll see. Right, let's have a look at this. We have got... It's been an honour to take on the role of Chief of Staff and to play my part in the delivery of a Labour government. Throughout my career, my first interest has always been public service. However, now there's always a however, in recent weeks, it's become clear to me that intense commentary around my position risks becoming a distraction to the government's vital work of change. It's for that reason I've chosen to stand aside, and I look forward to continuing to support the Prime Minister in my new role. Sir Keir's Chief Advisor and former Labour General Election Campaign Director Morgan McSweeney will replace Sue Gray as Downing Street Chief of Staff. Nin Pandit, Director of the Downing Street Policy Unit, has been appointed Principal Private Secretary. Downing Street also said former Deputy Political Editor. There's a lot of deputy this is, isn't there? At the Daily Mirror, James Lyons will join to head up new strategic communications team. So a bit of a shuffle around, but she's still there in some form. Crazy, crazy, crazy times, huh? Well, what I want to do now, we're about a halfway mark, more or less, with this live stream. So I want to see what you had to say. And we'll go through your comments that Blood Knows has been stacking up. Labour is busy losing countries. Yes, absolutely. You wonder how much land they're going to give away. And it's the people in these places that I feel for, you know, like Gibraltar. How many people have gone out there to live as, I suppose, expats? And they could get shafted. Oh, dear. Peter Kinlock, good Andy. I wonder how long Barney Rubble has left before his party members get rid of him. It's certainly not a happy party at the moment. Yeah, I agree with you, but there's one vital thing here, which we have to consider. If they get rid of him, who's next? You look at the lineup. Isn't it a bit frightening, the possibilities there? Has anyone seen Katie Hopkins' video today, turning off the electricity? I started to watch it, and she was talking about the direction it was going, wasn't she, with rationing and, all sorts of other bits. It's a bit of an eye-opener. And talking about electricity, I did a video a long time ago now, and I mean months ago, about smart meters. And I've started getting a load of comments on this video again. So it's kind of pricked my eyes up thinking, God, is this a trending subject again, maybe? Ian, 59 people per boat for that many to land in one day. It's crazy numbers, isn't it? 59. And I do wonder if they shove more in there as well. And you can see 973 divided by 1757. So you're all around the right ballpark there, aren't you? Ian, 26,000 less homes. The UK population. Yeah, you see these. I mean, we've got it round my way. There's all these houses and housing estates being built everywhere. And one thing I'm very aware of, which is very noticeable, they're being built within a 15-minute walk of supermarkets, shopping areas. So that gave me pause for thought, just that alone. And then a portion of them have flogged off to Orbit Housing Association and various other places. And you think, well, how many in this local area waiting for housing are actually going to benefit from this? Not many. Jean-Marc, yes, I heard this. They showed a program in France of people returning to Europe. Yeah, as I said, I was told it by a police officer yesterday. So definitely something there. And where they come over and it's not the idea they were sold. Yeah, I'd love to know that. What happens to the boats and their drivers? There was a big yard or big compound where I've seen pictures where they're pulled out and they're stacked up, but I don't know where they go after that. I'm sure somebody could tell me. And as for the drivers, well, they've got to leg it, haven't they? Or get nicked. One of the two. Matt Wootton. I lived very close to a IDC years ago. They burnt it down and escaped. Just search Yarl's Wood IDC fire and they tried to smoke out the nurses to have their way with them. 100% facts. All right, I'll check that out. Thank you. John Clark, but then the gangs take the money up front. If they're not successful, they still have the money. Yeah, I mean they advertise on TikTok, don't they? I've seen the videos. I've played them on here, and you have come across the New Life and all the rest of it. And they do take the money up front, but then if word gets around that people aren't making it, getting across, then reputation is a very powerful thing. Scrooge Slime, I suggest the Labour front bench try getting on a dinghy and head to France if Europe is so great. Watch them boats soon stop. Yeah, totally. For clarity, and I've been pulled up on this where I read the comments, where I'm starting to get a little bit more close to the mark. I don't have a problem with Europe. I think it's a great place. I mean, I picked some people off a flight today. I went on holiday over there. It's the European Union I've got a problem with. And everything about them. And it's very easy for the two to be confused. I've seen it done time and time again. Enoch Powell, or John Enoch Powell, the Caligari plan is playing out as expected, just as Barbara Lerner Spectre prescribed. That plan is something that rears its head again and again, isn't it? Gordon, all this crap has been going on since the beaching cuts by the government, cutting staff here and there by both governments, Tories and Labour, by cutting the UK economy, by closing companies in this. Absolutely. And, that comment just shows you, doesn't it? It's a cross-party issue. They're both responsible in equal measure for what's going on, and in equal measure, the potentiality to stop this. It's not happening. It's not happening. Rapid. The French police must be blind, deaf, dumb, or on the take. 155 million a few years ago. This year, 300 million for this to be getting worse. The joke is wearing thin now. I had a conversation with somebody not so long ago who complimented the French police for actually being there to puncture one of these dinghies before it got in the water. And when I said to them, don't you find it very convenient that a camera crew just happened to be there right at that particular moment in time to capture that dinghy getting punctured? Isn't that clever? And then they were like, I see your point, Andy. Yes. Just a token gesture, I think. Paul Cox. We sent the task force and HMS Conqueror sank the battleship General Belgrano. Yes, referring to the Falklands. Absolutely. And Maggie didn't put up with it, did she? She didn't put up with it. And where is that backbone gone? Where is that backbone gone? I think Paz put it right. She was spinning in her grave. Cosmic Wartoad. I wonder if the British Parliament actually cared about the Falklands and how many people had actually heard of them until they were invaded. Yeah, I mean, it had a small population, didn't it? And a very small marine garrison and not much else. And all of a sudden, bang, look what happened. And, assembled all that military power. And over we went to get it back. Phil, quiz question. What submarine sank the Belgrano? There you go. Somebody put it in the comments. Somebody put it in the comments. There was a destroyer as well who had one of ours that actually sunk. Was it the Cambridge? Uh, uh, the captain is the father of a comedian or so-called comedian now, and the name escapes me. But there's a few names coming out of that. We've got 408 people in the house. Welcome, everybody. It's great numbers. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. I appreciate it. I'll tell you a funny story while we're talking about Navy, actually. I bought home a retired submariner, and they they got a new commanding officer on their submarine. The commanding officer, their last name was Lightoller. Now, for those of you that don't know, the senior surviving officer of the Titanic was a Charles Lightoller. And this new submarine CO, it was related to Charles Lightoller. I think Charles was his grandfather or something like that. And all the men were like, oh, my God. But turns out he was the best CO they ever had. It's funny how a name and reputation sticks, isn't it? But Lightoller, he had a very interesting life. If you're into that, look into it. Chris, they're not handing them back. Starmer's giving them away. Yeah, we got to keep an eye on this. And like Farage says, it has to be debated. It's a clusterfuck, really. Stan, it's a strategic island for the UK for exploration of the South Pole. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. We all bring our different learned experiences into this, don't we? Share information. It's great. John Johnson, the Russian invasion of Afghanistan in 79-80 was also hardly reported. ITN had a famous reporter there, I think. Yeah, I mean, you look now, as soon as I finish this live stream, you can look at it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anywhere you are. Just like the news, you can do the same with it. You can replay old stuff too. But back then, 40 years ago, it was very sketchy. Very sketchy. But equally, it's amazing now, isn't it? How easy it is to shut things down that you don't want people to know about. Richie reports, UK. I'd never heard of the Chagos Islands until last week. I knew of them. I knew of them, but I wasn't quite sure where they related to us in, geographical sense and everything. But where I've looked into it recently, oh my God. Russell, Starmer, planning. Are you sure? Looks to me like he's just blundering around aimlessly. Yeah, pretty much all the time, isn't he? Gordon, country by selling them off to outside of the UK and all the government is stirring up trouble where we are fighting with each other. And that's going on in this country, is the government's plans. When you concentrate on infighting, when you concentrate on people having a dust up, you do kind of take your eye off the ball, don't you? To an extent, look the other way when something's going on over that way. It's sleight of hand and distraction, and we all fall for it. It's very clever. Tony, the problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. Often said. This is why Keir Starmer removed Margaret Thatcher's picture. He couldn't handle the truth looking at him. Yes, that was well publicised, that, wasn't it? Did he backtrack on that, or am I mistaken? Did that go ahead? Scrooge Slime, Keir likes keeping things in the closet. And we'll leave that one there. Very good. Trust you to come in with a one-liner. Margaret Yates, I thought he was turning the page in his book to make sure he gave the right answer. Oh, the video, yeah. I mean, they say, don't they, the guy never gives an off-the-cuff answer to anything. He just, page 25. Oh, I'd better say this to here. It's a bit like Joe Biden with his talk notes over in America, isn't it? It's an embarrassment. China is best buds with Mauritius. Yeah, they are quite friendly, aren't they? And look what's happened. But it's China again. China again. It's all weaved together, in my view. All weaved together. Tony, Keir Starmer said, I will not sacrifice great British industry to the drum-bagging, finger-wagging, net zero extremists. The fact that he wrote this 2 days ago is actually quite laughable, isn't it just? And then he's got someone like Ed Miliband. Say no more. John Clark, Labour promised change and they have delivered. A government that is more corrupt, unaccountable and authoritarian. Yeah, you're right. They've at least kept one promise, haven't they? Even though it's not quite what we thought. Converse Mackham, we'll never give the Falklands Islands up because if we did, we lose the rights to our claim on our patch of Antarctica. I hope you're right. And, you know, a big part of me believes it. But people talk and people wonder, don't they, when governments start doing this? You think, where's it going to stop? Matt Woodson, what's the T-shirt, Andy? Maybe a car one with a Bond relation. I only saw the Bond reference and couldn't work out the rest on my phone. Looks interesting, though. A friend of the channel sent me some merchandise, which I gave away. There is now a merchandise store attached to the YouTube channel if anybody so wished to get something. But the problem is with those stores, they put such a high markup on the price and the delivery and everything. I don't know how they stay in business, but it's there if, you know, somebody wants something. It's just convenience. But this is what he sent me. As 007, James Bond, presents, and then the man with the Tornado van. There's the rest of it. You've had it long enough to read it. That's back in the days where I did a lot more about Sadiq Khan and general calling out of government bullshit, which I continue to do to this day. Tony Whitworth, Starmer pledging £22 billion on a green project to boost growth and cut emissions. It's been operating in Norway for 30 years. It's not working. I bet he knows that as well. You know, we get all this crap we supposedly pump into our atmosphere. And they're talking about storing new stuff. What about what's up there already? And also, we're not the highest polluter in the world. Far from it, in fact. You look at India, you look at China, and what are they doing? Nothing. Nothing. So why are we being punished? There's China again. Paul Taylor, remember that it's all one big cartel. This includes our government, civil service, media, universities, and so on. Until this worldwide cartel is smashed, nothing will change. Now, government and media and civil service, yes, the media serves to make us believe that the first two are doing a good job. Universities and so on. I was very struck with a video that Paul Thorpe put out earlier, and it was along the lines of, fucking leave our kids alone. And he was really annoyed about a letter that came home to do with his, I think it was his 6-year-old granddaughter, where they were going to teach them about, it sounded like racial equality. And he was like, well, are you teaching these two children who don't know anything about this and they're friends because they want to be friends, that they're actually different from each other, and introducing that at such a young age? They don't give a shit. They just want to play with their toys, have fun, and be kids. Let them be kids. Leave them alone. And, you know, this is where it starts with our children. I got a thing on my phone. I'll point this out again. And it tells me all of the homework that my son has set from school, so I can keep an eye on it. It's a good idea. And I say, right, he's got this due in there and this due in there, and so on and so on and so on. But when I see some of the things that they're taught in the curriculum, I think, holy shit, because they will grow up believing that stuff because they've been indoctrinated and taught about it from an early age. And until that stopped, when is it going to stop? You know, there's stuff going on with me in the background, which I'm not going to say in public, but I've been doing a lot of educating myself. Where when you have problems you need to deal with, you need to educate yourself. And when you look into the mind, there's two things. There's the subconscious and the conscious. The conscious you're aware of. You see everything around you. You're listening to me right now. That's your conscious self. And then you have your subconscious, what goes on inside your brain that you don't know, you're not aware of. This is the thing that's getting programmed with stimuli every single time you walk out the door, every single time you watch the television, every single time you go to the shops, every time you sit in a classroom. And that is what's happening with these kids at such a young age. It's frightening. It's frightening. I see GB News has slowly moved Neil Oliver out now. Yeah, they've moved him onto like YouTube streaming, haven't they? And I think you can get what he said online, but I bet it's not the whole entire picture. That's for sure. Tony Whitworth, a tell-all book, is threatening to reveal Keir Starmer's big secret as the MSM remains silent, even though everyone in Westminster is openly discussing it. Prevailing truth is near. That tell-all book, Tony, the author wouldn't have the same initial as your first name, would they? Or am I thinking of something else? John, well, we all have the autumn budget to look forward to. Yeah, like a hole in the head. They lied about everything else. They promised taxes won't increase. I'm expecting tax rises. You got the winter fuel situation. I can't see that changing unless there's too much pressure. Single person's discount, fuel duty, pensions, business taxes, all the typical Labour type things that they pick on. It really is a frightening mix. Let's see what happens. Is that Paul Sol? Paul Sol? Does anyone really think that the BS that comes from the BSs is worth anything? Wasting time. Stop sitting on the fence and making excuses for yourself. The enemy is on the move. I heard someone say earlier, you know, if you think anything of your family, you think anything of your kids, there has to be some kind of unity, doesn't there? We all have to be talking off the same song sheet. Otherwise, they're going to trample all over us, and it ain't good. Diver Right 45. Evening, Andy. The residents of the Diego Garcia Island were thrown off their island by the UK to make way for the Yanks military base. They took the UK to court and won. The UK broke the law. Yeah, that's what I researched earlier because a couple of people pointed it out to me. That was, was it the 70s? Or am I going too far back? I did see the year earlier. We lost 5 ships in the Falklands War. Yeah, I know the one I was thinking of. A missile went straight through the control room, and when the dust cleared and they all come out, it was already listing quite a way. And I can see the captain of that ship in my mind. I'll have to look it up. Lee Williams, my old regiment, lost 52 of the boys on the Sir Galahad. Yeah, Simon Weston was the famous one off of that. That's in the news, isn't he? I've not seen him about for a long time, though. Richard Evans, if we give up the Falklands, we give up the rights to any gas or oil in the area, which the Green Mob and the WEF don't want us to have. We all worry about what they're going to do next, don't we? It's trying times. Jean-Marc, the Americans would never give any land to the UK to help you. No. Robert, the news is still very sketchy, just it's 24 hours a day. They only report their agendas. Yeah, or their version of the truth. And what's really amazing to me with this modern technology and this modern age we live in is how they can not report things. It's like something can be happening right outside BBC headquarters in London. It wouldn't be on the news. Look on YouTube, and there it is. It's amazing how they can manipulate it. Oh, my throat is starting to go. What's this one? Cornelia Harris is going to get in, I think. Oh, God, I hope not. If she does, something's very sniffy. Something is very sniffy. Kaz Realist, the problem is Labour left of the neo-Nazis, the globalists, the corporate fascists, and overline with Islam. Rerun of World War II. Does it feel like Groundhog Day? The night is young, my friend. The night is young. Hatchy. Anyone remember David Bellamy? Sir Lenny Henry made a living taking the Michael out of him. R.I.P. Oh, yes. And what did he say? He said something very fitting about the environment and the earth. He said there's no such thing as global warming. It's the earth. It has its natural cycles of getting hot and getting cold again. And it's just a natural cycle. And it will come round again. And when he said that, he was cancelled, quite literally. And, that's going back some years. What are you drinking tonight, Andy? Soft drink. No alcohol. No alcohol. Are you going to watch Paul Falk tomorrow with Tommy Robinson? I am about. I am about, so I will probably try and get it. I was made aware before we come on that there might be something kicking off in the Middle East again. But I've just had a message through. Iran hasn't taken any action yet, but Israel is bombing the hell out of Beirut. It sounds like things are going to get nasty over there. Well, nastier than they already are, should we say. Now, the answer to that quiz question, what sunk the Belgrano? Conqueror is the only nuclear-powered submarine to have engaged an enemy ship with torpedoes, sinking the cruiser General Belgrano during the 82 Falklands War. There you go. There you go. So there's the answer to that. Thank you very much for providing that. And wasn't the General Belgrano an American ship before the Argentinians had it? I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. I have to Google that. Martin Reed, Larry the cat is tipped for the head of civil service. Apparently, Sabia's cat, Prince, is up in Furballs and has been on the phone to Lord Daddy Cat. Probably wants a pay rise. Wonderful. The law of love. Why is Israel bombing everyone, then claiming to be the victim? You know, when the original incident happened that seemed to kick all this off, in my mind, you do that to my country or you do that to my home, I'm coming for you. It's very simple. That's the way I saw it. But you look at the dynamics, the politics, and you do this, I'm going to do it. It's just a powder keg, and it's like a snowball rolling down the hill. It's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and sooner or later, it's just going to go, unless somebody points and says, "Damn it, stop!" It's concerning, isn't it? Very concerning. Craig Lucas, everyone should pull their kids out of school and do home schooling. There's many with your opinion. I mean, the problem is as well, the current people that are teaching our kids were taught by somebody else beforehand. And this goes back a couple of generations at least. And again, is this all part of the planning? Who knows? There we go. Thank you, Martin. General Belgrano was an American warship. They sold it to the Argies. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Factual Breakdown. Used to be the USS Phoenix, a Navy ship commissioned in 1938. So over 40 years old when it sunk. Over 40 years old. But they have, like, effectively big graveyards, don't they, with ships just moored up. Years and years and years and years worth of hardware just sitting there doing nothing. Some of the stuff, incredible. Cosmic War told the Middle East situation isn't Britain's problem. The problem is they involve themselves, don't they, and make it their problem. I get your sentiment exactly, but they just can't keep their bloody nose out of it. The US Supreme Court confirms that the damage caused by the gene therapies is irreparable. Nuremberg Code is now valid. Well done, Robert F. Kennedy. Sunak's £500 million safe and effective investment. That's very interesting. Very interesting. I had a bit of a heated discussion about that particular subject with somebody yesterday, and had to agree to disagree in the end. It's just amazing, isn't it? The Miliband files, brother David making good money from net zero projects on the back of Red Ed Zealot-like plans. Have they declared potential conflict of interest? I very much doubt it. You've got more chance of Keir Starmer declaring all of his donations and that, haven't you? And then Lee Williams, Elon is dark MAGA. Banned again. Hey, Andy, is that Russian explosive ship still sitting off Margate? It was. The problem is with the cargo they have on board. It's my understanding that they've got some damage to their. I don't know if it's their rudder or propulsion system or something like that, but they need to get into a port to get repaired, and because of the nature of their cargo, no one will let them in. No one will let them in. I mean, it had been off the coast of Margate for well over a week, and people moaning about it on social media. Andy the Gabby Cabby, have you heard of a Russian boat full of potential booms by the UK coastline? Apparently 2 million nukes worth of explosions, maybe worth a video to say if it's real or not. I can tell you the presence of the ship is real, or it was real. I might have a look down the coast tomorrow, do a bit of research and see if it's still about. But one of the things which I tried to wind up at the Isle of Sheppey over there is a ship that's sunk, and you can see it because its masts still stick out above the waterline, and it's full of explosives that have been degrading over the years. It's been down there since World War II, and it has to be checked and surveyed regularly. And the worry is that if anything cooked off in immediate vicinity to that, it would be a double whammy. It's really a worrying situation. But the thing is, the media, don't they? They wind it up. So is it true? Is it something else? I'll see what I can find out and do a video on it if necessary. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for this evening. Really appreciate you coming along. Been well over 400 of you watching. It's great. The numbers on the lives are going up. I want to do a few more pop-up lives during the week. Obviously, give a bit more notice, but they're quite good. They're quite popular. Bring a subject to you live, and we can have a little chat about it and go. Only like 15, 20 minutes worth. It's just checking in with you during the week. So we're going to try and do more of them and the regular videos as well. It's all good. Anyone that's here tonight, obviously, if you are subscribed, thank you very much. If you haven't and you're considering doing so, please just hit that subscribe button. It's free to do so. Really helps the channel. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button too, because that helps, again, spread this all around YouTube and helps the channel grow. It's all a great support. And thank you very much to everybody. Share me on your social media as well. I will be around tomorrow with videos for you on more subjects. What I'm doing at the moment, I literally check to see what's going on in the morning. And then if I think you need to know about it, or I've got something to say about it, there I am. I give it to you later on in the afternoon. And got into a bit of a system that seems to work. Thank you, everyone, for your great comments and warm wishes, which are coming up on the screen now. Very much appreciate it. And as always, I look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.